icon. You can also register for free on our website or check out our website to watch us on a video stream. And that website is musicindustrycity.com. Stay tuned with us. Again, be sure to pin your friends into the room, chime in the chat, or raise your hand to join the discussion. And thanks for tuning in to today's Music News Power Hour broadcast. We're going to be beginning our countdown here shortly.
It's Friday, the 25th of June, and this is the Music News Power Hour on the Music Industry City Broadcast Network. I'm Peter Schwing, and please join me in welcoming my co-host Eli Windell and UK correspondent Angela Randall.
Hi, Peter. It's great to be here today. Happy Friday, everyone.
Hello, hello. Let's get the weekend started.
Right on. Fantastic. In today's news, we're going to be talking about the Recording Academy settles with Deborah Duggan, a guy called Gerald raising funds for legal battle, Congressman introduced American Fairness Act, the UK Cultural Recovery Fund is going to help save some venues, and The Sims is getting an in-game music festival. And as always, our daily Spotify update. Those stories coming up right after this. But first, let's take a look at this day in music history with Eli Windell. Eli, take it away.
All right, let's take a look. Today in memory. On this date in 1998, we lost Hillel Slovak, original guitarist and founding member of Red Hot Chili Peppers, who died from a heroin overdose shortly after the band returned from a European tour. In memory. Also in memory, on this date, June 25th, 2009, Michael Jackson died at the age of 50 after suffering heart failure at his home in Beverly Hills. The eighth child of the Jackson family, he debuted with his brothers as a member of the Jackson Five in 1964. Michael Jackson is crediting for transforming the music video into an art form and a promotional tool. 4 of his solo albums are among the world's best-selling records. That's Off the Wall, 1979, Bad, 1987, Dangerous, 1991, and History, 1995. While his 1982 Thriller is the world's best-selling record of all time, with sales of over 50 million. In memory, Michael Jackson. Moving on, birthdays today. Born this date, 1939, Harold Melvin, U.S. soul singer and pianist. You may know the single, If You Don't Know Me, by now. That is his composition. And born this date, 1945, U.S. singer-songwriter Carly Simon. Also born this date, 1952, Tim Finn, singer-songwriter from New Zealand group Split Enz. Born this date, 1963, UK singer-songwriter Georgios Patanayou, a.k.a. George Michael. And born this date, 1991, Charlie Salt, English singer and bassist of the indie pop band Blossoms. Happy birthday. Moving on this day in history, June 25th, 1994, 5 people attending this year's UK Glastonbury Festival were shot and injured when a lone madman pulled a gun and started shooting into the crowd. On this day, 2004, rapper DMX was arrested on charges that he and another man tried to steal a car from New York's Kennedy Airport. DMX, whose real name is Earl Simmons, and Jackie Hudgens were held after the city's Port Authority police interrupted a dispute. The pair were arrested on charges of attempted robbery, criminal impersonation, and criminal mischief. A spokesperson said a preliminary investigation indicated that Mr. Simmons may have identified himself as a federal agent. And on this date, 2019, a fan who went into labor at Pink's concert in Liverpool, England, successfully gave birth at the venue and named the newborn after the pop star herself. 2 medics who were on duty as crowd doctors took the fan to the stadium's first aid room, where they delivered the baby. Incredible birth story. And that's it for this day in history. Back to you, Peter.
Right on. Thank you. Hey, Eli, is that a haircut?
No, I decided to put it up because it's like it's so nice outside. I just kind of like wanted to get my hair off my shoulders and off my neck. It feels kind of like a mosquito tickling my shoulder. So I put it up and I did this kind of an updo. So if you're joining us on stream, you'll have to my hair better up or down. I just thought I'd get it off my shoulders today.
Right on. Yeah. It's a beautiful day here in New York. All right. This is where we summarize the most essential news in the fast paced music industry. I'd like to also thank everyone who is viewing the show in AltSpace VR, our live stream video feeds, which you can go to right to musicindustrycity.com and you can get that street. And also, hey, what's up, Green Room? How you doing? We're going to have the after show over there once we wrap up. So you can access the chat there to hang out. And if you have any comments, feel free to drop them in the chat. Same with everybody on the live stream. So to set the stage for the roundtable, we begin by reading key sections of media pieces. If you'd like to provide commentary on one of today's topics, request to join the stage. To stay on top of this and other programming, follow the Music Industry City group, and you may register for free at musicindustrycity.com to obtain access to exclusive content. And remember, follow all our green button co-hosts and commentators as they take the stage. Now let's get to it. All right, and this first piece is from Variety.com. To access all the articles mentioned in today's show and throughout the week, visit musicindustrycity.com and click on the show notes graphic. All right, Recording Academy settles with ousted President CEO Gerald Dugan. The Recording Academy and former President CEO Deborah Dugan have reached a settlement in the arbitration surrounding her ouster, which took place just 10 days before the 2020 Grammys. The two parties issued a joint statement Thursday night that says simply, quote, "The Recording Academy and Deborah Dugan have agreed to resolve their differences and to keep the terms of their agreement private." The arbitration hearings were scheduled to begin next month. Dugan's attorney and reps for the Recording Academy declined Variety's request for further comment. The move is the latest in a series led by Recording Academy Chief Harvey Mason Jr. that reflect an effort to at least calm some of the multiple controversies that have arisen around it over the past 3 years, ranging from Dugan's extremely hostile termination to her predecessor Neil Portnow's 2018 comment that females in the music industry need to step up in order to advance. Among other moves, including the distribution of some $24 million in COVID relief to members of the music community, the organization's efforts to address a long-standing lack of racial and gender diversity, which of course is true across the industry, have ramped up significantly over the past year. Reports of their effectiveness have been mixed, particularly for the inclusion task force that was formed in the wake of Portnow's comment. However, Elisha Butterfield-Jones, who was named co-president earlier this week as part of the new management structure, made a number of positive moves in her prior year-long role as Academy's first chief diversity and inclusion officer. So a little background was Dugan, who was abruptly placed on administrative leave from her post in January 2020 after vague accusations of misconduct toward an employee. Sources were her former assistant was officially terminated 3 months later. Mason, then head of the Academy's Board of Trustees, took her place on an interim basis and effectively took over the past month. Although he had insisted the role would be temporary, some sources say that a long executive search by the Academy turned up no suitable candidates willing to take on the job. Regardless, during his tenure, Mason has brought about a significant change of tone and action at the Academy, and the Dugan settlement is a positive move toward advancing that change further. So let's go back to 2018 and let's point that into the direction of Portnow's comment. It's like, looks like the Academy is finally stepping up. This one is over on Pitchfork. A guy called Gerald raising funds for legal battle over royalties dispute. The DJ and producer says he hasn't been paid for his 1988 hit Voodoo Ray and other recordings. The label Ram Records denies his allegations. The British acid house producer has launched a crowdfunding campaign to help finance a legal fight over unpaid royalties, DJ Magazine reports. Gerald claims that he was never paid royalties for his 1988 hit single Voodoo Ray or his 1989 album Hot Lemonade. Quote, as Voodoo Ray raced to number 12 in the charts, I had to live in a squat, work at McDonald's, and give interviews out of phone boxes. A guy called Gerald Simpson wrote on a crowdfunding page, quote, "Yet the guys running the label, selling my music, never paid me a single penny for my part in the label's success. Can you imagine the frustration? Acid House's Summer of Love was in full swing, and all I could think about was survival, while these guys spent the next 4 years exploiting my music. They ditched the label in 1992, and everything went quiet until 2019 when the nightmare started up again." Ram Records has denied a guy called Gerald's claims in a social media post on May 21st, saying, "We are aware of a recent social media post by Gerald Simpson regarding payments of royalties. We refute the allegations made in his statement and his recollection of events. We have repeatedly attempted to communicate with Gerald and his business manager in order to pay royalties due to him, but he has not so far acknowledged us. If Gerald would like to contact us, we will be happy to send any money currently due to him immediately." You know, the irony is we have to raise money to have a legal defense to get the money that's owed to. I'm not saying we don't know what's going on. I mean, but it's like the fact that so many artists can't even get the money to get the proper legal representations when they have to fight for these issues and royalty payments.
It's such a tragic cycle. I agree. It's a tragedy that anybody has to chase what belongs to them rightfully in the first place, but to have the money to get the money that's owed to you in the first place it feels like starting deep down in a hole when you're trying to dig yourself out in the first place.
Right. It kind of goes back to, interesting, the most sampled drum break, the Amen break, is the most sampled drum fill of all time. And he was never paid a penny. And it was about, I'd say 2 or 3 years ago, people came and started a crowdfunding campaign. I think they raised maybe 20, 30, maybe 40,000 north of that and got it to him. And I mean, that was just a wonderful sentiment.
That's incredible. Just imagine if everybody who ever used the Amen break sent him $1.
Oh, yeah, exactly. All right. And speaking of getting paid, we are going to go over to Variety. Congressman introduced American Music Fairness Act to compel radio to pay royalties on recorded music. The United States is the only major country in the world where terrestrial radio pays no royalties to performers or recorded music copyright owners of the songs they play, a situation that is largely due to the powerful radio lobby's influence in Congress. I want to correct that first statement, actually. It's China also doesn't pay, Iran doesn't pay, and also North Korea doesn't pay. So we're in good company when it comes to the type aligning ourselves with countries that don't pay performers on radio. So good company there. While there's more than 8,300 AM and FM stations across the country that pay royalties to songwriters, they have never paid performers or copyright holders, although streaming services do. On Thursday, Representatives Ted Deutsch and Darrell Issa introduced the bipartisan American Fairness Act, which aims to rectify that situation. The act was introduced via a live-streamed event that saw the lawmakers joined by an unusual collection of artists that include veteran singers Dionne Warwick, Sam Moore, along with the Dropkick Murphys' Ken Casey. Goes on to say, quote, "The American Music Fairness Act will protect the artists we know as they make the music we love. For the first time, artists would see a piece of the massive profits made on the backs of their creative work. Congress must end the unfair deal AM/FM radio has forced on musicians." The bill is at least partially in response to the Local Radio Freedom Act that Steve Womack and Kathy Castor introduced last month, which is championed by the National Association of Broadcasters. That act aims to continue terrestrial radio's royalty-free status, stating that Congress should not impose any new performance royalty or other charges that might create economic hardship for locally owned radio stations. Some 138 representatives and 18 senators have signed that non-binding resolution. And while still a powerful force, it is no secret that terrestrial radio is rapidly losing audience to streaming services, satellite radio, podcasts, and other broadcasters. And once streaming services become widely available in cars, that decline is likely to accelerate dramatically. Champions of the Radio Freedom Act are using that threat as an argument for radio to continue to pay no royalties to performers and copyright holders. Castor also said in a statement, quote, "The Local Radio Freedom Act is a non-binding resolution that reaffirms Congress's support for local radio station and opposes new fees or taxes on local free broadcast radio, which could jeopardize those very services upon which so many rely." As expected, the NAB spoke out against the Fairness Act within an hour of it being introduced. They go on to say, quote, "NAB strongly opposes the American Fairness Act or any imposition of a performance royalty on America's local radio stations," said the president and CEO Gordon Smith. He continues, "For decades, broadcast radio has enjoyed a mutually beneficial relationship with the music industry, launching and sustaining the careers of countless artists, promoting album sales and streams, and helping to foster a robust music creation environment that is the envy of the world." I have some thoughts on this because it sounds like they're still using that old, 50, 60-year-old, hey, you'll get some exposure. And if anybody listens to radio now, I've listened. I go out in the car, I drive to the store, and I spend 20 minutes in the car, and all I hear is Bruce Springsteen, Fleetwood Mac, everything, the top 10 hits from the 70s and 80s on multiple stations. The only time I hear something breaking is when it's on a college radio.
And just quickly, in terms of what you said, oh yeah, do it for the exposure. I just want to remind everybody that people die of overexposure. So let's be real about exposure and what it can do for you.
Well, I tried to pay rent last month, and I said, "Will you take 2,000 exposure points?"
Yeah. Will you take if social media followers and my exposure instead of dollars? And I tried that at the grocery store. It didn't go over very well either. So you can try.
Over in the green room chat, Aaron Casey, who regularly joins us in this room from time to time as well, has said, hopefully the act passes in what is the biggest music market in the world. Goes on to say, the work of Sound Exchange is such a narrow interpretation of what the legislation should encapsulate. And quote, "The world asks the U.S. to catch up. Neighboring rights organizations can distribute to U.S. labels and performers once this comes to pass." Thanks for that contribution, Aaron.
Yeah, right on, Aaron. Thank you for that. Yeah, exactly. Join us in the comments, also on the live stream. And if you have in Clubhouse here, if you want to raise your hand and join the stage. All right, let's talk about the SBA. Are we ever going to get this money? Are venues going to get this money? Well, we're going to find out right now who's gotten the money. And the SBA inches forward on Save Our Stages relief, but for most venues, money remains out of reach. This is in Variety. In the latest update to the long-running saga of the $16 billion Save Our Stages Relief Fund for independent venues and theaters, which was signed into law on December 27th, but has only just begun to send out money to the venues. The Small Business Administration, which distributes the funds, has finally begun to make progress on notifying venues that they will be receiving emergency relief. However, according to the most recent SBA report, just over 10% of the venues who have applied for relief have received such notice, and far fewer have actually received money. The SBA had been marred by dysfunction throughout the entire process, including broken websites, reams of bureaucracy, and such embarrassing snafus as venue owners being inaccurately informed that they have been deemed dead by the SBA's research, which stands in stark contrast to the initial $800 billion Paycheck Protection Program and the more recent $29 billion Restaurant Revitalization Fund, which delivered relief money to businesses within days. As a side note, the Restaurant Revitalization Fund is not doing so well either. They've been having some issues over there. But this one goes on, about what's been updated, but they also had a call recently. So since then, the SBA reps have had a daily call with around 30 representatives from various venues, theaters, and other organizations, and applications have been moving more quickly than they had been, although that is a low bar. As of June 9th, more than 5 months after the Save Our Stages Act was passed into law, less than 100 of the more than 14,000 businesses and entities that applied for the aid had actually received notice of approval, and none had reported receiving any funds. According to an SBA document dated Monday, 14,416 businesses had submitted applications. Of those, according to Thursday's call, 1,794 have been approved, 1,082 queued for award, 104 have been declined, 800 are queued for decline, 774 are queued for technical correction, and 734 remain to be sorted for either decline or technical correction. Not all those businesses are concert venues, although the majority are. According to the SBA document, the businesses include live venue operators or promoters, performing artists organizations, talent reps, theater and museum operators, and theatrical producers. It's those stats I know is a lot to take in. You can go find this article. It's on variety.com. And if you want the direct link to all these articles that we covered today and throughout the week, go to musicindustrycity.com and click on the show notes graphic. And with that being said, let's head back over to Eli.
Oh my goodness, my heart is full after hearing this headline. I'm such a live music junkie and such a big fan of the live music industry. So I'm just going to echo once again what I've said before. Let's go funding. Let's get this funding into the hands of these owner operators absolutely as quickly as possible. But that having been said, I do want to welcome everyone once again to today's broadcast. Today is Friday, June 25th, 2021. We are here from 12 to 1 Eastern each and every weekday, Monday through Friday, where we cover all the music industry headlines that you care to listen to and discuss. You can ping your friends into the room by using the plus sign at the bottom of the room, and you can join the discussion by raising your hand using the hand raise icon at the bottom of the room, or by chiming in the chat. Be sure also that you tap the greenhouse shaped icon at the top of the room to join the club and get updates about Music Industry City and the Music Industry City Broadcast Network. You can also tap on each of the moderators' profile pictures to follow them. The moderators are the speakers on stage with the green moderator icon. Also, make sure that you visit our website where you can register for free. And if you'd like, you can watch us on video. You can actually see what we are doing behind the scenes. Our website is musicindustrycity.com. And that having been said, I want to continue on with some headlines. We see that the UK government now says events research program findings are likely to be published shortly. With more on this headline, let's go over to our UK correspondent, Angela Randall.
Thanks, Eli. This one comes to us from CompleteMusicUpdate.com. Bit of a semantics one, I'm afraid. The UK government has said it will publish the findings of its events research program, quote, shortly. Earlier this week, it was, quote, very soon. Is shortly sooner than very soon? Is that an upgrade or a downgrade? They should have gone with an as soon as possible. I love ASAP. It implies urgency, but actually commits to nothing. Look at me. I could be part of the bullshit team at number 10 Bullshit Street. I kid you not, that's what it says. A spokesperson for the UK's bullshitter-in-chief, Boris Bullshitter Johnson, made the shortly commitment in response to the news that the live music and theater sector are now suing his government to gain access to the ERP's findings. Actually, the spokesperson told The Guardian that the findings of the ERP are likely to appear shortly. There you go. Fudge it further. Give that official bullshitter promotion to the top tier of Bullshitter Johnson's big bucket of bullshit, aka Her Majesty's Government of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. The events research program kicked off earlier this year, of course, with the aim of investigating how full capacity events could safely return as COVID rules are relaxed across the UK. Various sporting, music, and other events were held as part of the pilot, with ever increasing capacities in order to inform government and the events sector on what measures could mitigate the risk of COVID spreading at full capacity shows. All indications were that the research demonstrated that with some simple logistical measures, full capacity shows could go ahead with no increased risks in the coronavirus spreading, but then the government postponed the publication of its findings and extended the research program, strategically selecting a bunch of new events to take part. It's been alleged that the delay came about because the ERP findings contradict Johnson's current policy that full capacity shows cannot return until mid-July. Meanwhile, by extending the program, the bullshitter can allow selected sporting events popular with his political base to go ahead despite that policy. This has understandably annoyed the live sector, especially those promoters who took part in the program at their own cost and often at a financial loss, thinking that they were helping to ensure a speedier return of full capacity gigs and shows while providing the live sector with important upfront guidance on how to make their productions super safe. It goes on there, and when asked by MPs earlier this week about the delay in publishing the ERP's findings, junior minister at the Department for Cultural Bullshit, Nigel Huddleston, said that the government will release the report very soon, adding that doing so was subject to a comprehensive and rigorous coordination and approval process across departments, the academic institutions that have been involved in this program, and the ERP governance board, which made getting anything ready to publish really hard. which is convenient. I hope you'll appreciate our British humor included in that piece. And now for some better news, we're going to go on to the NME with this headline: final £300 million of cultural recovery fund to help save venues and festivals announced by the government. Like I said, this piece comes from the NME. The government has announced the release of the final £300 million of the Cultural Recovery Fund in a bid to help art spaces and institutions affected by ongoing coronavirus closures and restrictions. Last week, Prime Minister Boris Johnson announced that the reopening date of the 21st of June, also known to some as Freedom Day, with all coronavirus restrictions set to be lifted in England, would be delayed until the 19th of July to allow for an increase in the vaccination effort to deal with the spread of new COVID variants. However, this left England's grassroots music venues with a cancellation of over 4,000 gigs in the coming weeks and a combined loss of £36 million, having a further catastrophic impact for staff, crew, artists, and the club bosses unable to pay the rent. Elsewhere, nightclub industry bosses are also warning of mass evictions without urgent funding and clarity. Now, the government has announced that they'll be releasing the final $300 million of the Cultural Recovery Fund, which previously provided music and arts businesses bodies with £1.57 billion of support. A potential essential lifeline to many, a DCMS spokesperson said that this would provide further support as the cultural heritage and creative sectors move towards reopening at full capacity, and would be available for both new organizations who are at imminent risk of failure and existing recipients of CRF grants, in order to protect these spaces for future generations and safeguarding hundreds of thousands of creative jobs in the supply chain. Our record-breaking Culture Recovery Fund has helped thousands of organizations across the country to survive and protected hundreds of thousands of jobs, said Culture Secretary Oliver Dowden. Now, as we look forward to full reopening, this funding shows our commitment to stand behind culture and heritage all the way through the pandemic. It goes on a bit more there, and if you want to read more into it, visit nme.com and search for Cultural Fund. You'll be able to find it easily enough, or of course in our show notes, as Peter described at the top of the show. There's a lot of chatter going on in Green Room. Peter, can you see what I'm seeing there? Anything coming up worth responding to?
Yeah, I just want to say hi to Aaron, Sam, Jamie, Kevin, Laura, Carlos, Fiona, a whole bunch of others in there. Thanks for your contributions. And I see, I just want to go back to that first article, Complete Music Update. I love it when Chris Cook, gets all British.
Yeah, we love it too. It's just a part of the charm over here.
Yeah, and also we can also rely on Stuart Dredge to throw out some snark too from time to time. But yeah, it's really interesting what's going on. And, we wanted to end a little, the humor in that is because for the last few weeks, 2 weeks in particular, the UK, it's just been bad news after bad news after bad news. So like we got to add with the little lightheartedness, but seriousness and the fact that the Culture Fund is being going out there. So, this is looking up going into the weekend. So, and hopefully everything will get better. I see, Aaron was talking about in Ireland, the Irish government has created the Music and Entertainment Business Support Scheme, which has supplied 14 million euros in funding. And they provided 25 million to promoters and venues. So, yeah, there are a lot of different countries that have been helping out. And, hopefully the 10 Downing Street can get their act together with this. And let's go over to France for a moment. And if this article opens up, this is from IQ Mag. France to lift all restrictions on outdoor shows. All right, and there will be no capacity restrictions on open-air concerts and festivals in France from the 30th of June on. In news that will be welcomed by the live music industry, but which comes too late for many summer festivals. Following the sustained lobbying by industry associations and the success of the Ambition Live Again pilot concert, as of next Wednesday, concert organizers will be able to do away with social distancing and the current attendance cap of 5,000 people for outdoor events. Indoor shows, meanwhile, remained limited to 75% of capacity. All events of more than 1,000 people must ask for attendees' pass sanitaire, the French health passport, certifying that they have had both vaccines or a negative COVID-19 test within the last 48 hours. Masks are advised, but not compulsory. Previously, outdoor festivals in France were limited to 5,000 people seated with social distancing equivalent to a space of 4 meters squared per festival goer. Quote, "It was unrealistic. People cannot sit in their own little square," said the head of the Union Contemporary Music. So this is good news for France. And if you can't get out to a show, The Sims has a show for you. We've been talking a lot about Roblox. We've been talking a lot about, if anybody, you can't see it, but I can see Eli doing the spirit fingers in the background, a little happy dance. So The Sims is getting an in-game music festival with Slimish songs. All right, so the Slims, and this is from TheVerge.com. The Sims is the latest game to feature a virtual concert, but this one comes with a twist. Some of the songs will be performed in the fictional Slimish language. Today, EA announced Slims Sessions, described as an in-game music festival that will take place inside The Sims from June 29th to July 7th. It'll be headlined by pop star Bibi Rexha, who will sing her single Sabotage in Slimish. Can we give props to that alliteration there? I'm going to try that one again. Who will sing her single Sabotage in Slimish. Glass Animals and Joy Aladukin will serve as the opening acts, though it sounds like they will be performing in boring old English. All right. In addition to listening to music, players will also be able to explore the festival space, create new outfits, and buy, quote, exclusive digital merchandise from all of the performers. Meanwhile, Rexha will also be partnering with popular TikTok users for a Slimish karaoke session. She joins a growing list of pop stars to perform in Slimish, including Katy Perry, Carly Rae Jepsen, and more recently, Japanese Breakfast. The Sims is just the latest game to feature a virtual music performance, a trend that accelerated after the pandemic brought real-world concerts to a halt. Travis Scott took over the Fortnite Island, Lil Nas X took over Roblox, and for some reason, Post Malone sang alongside a bunch of Pokemon. I'm looking forward to this, and I'm glad this article is done because I don't want to say Sims or Slims anymore today.
I wonder what the Simlish name for Nine Inch Nails is. I'll have to Google that and get back to you.
And Peter, I wanted to say too that in terms of the alliteration, they forgot Smash. It should have been her Smash single. So there was one more in there just to trip us all up as we try to read it out loud. Yeah. But if you would like to read it, but not out loud, make sure you visit our website where you can follow along with this article and all the articles that we are reading today.
Right on. All right. Moving on to Rolling Stone, Amazon. So we're going to talk about tech. We're going to wrap up with some tech and socials and some fun little tidbits and a little discussion on Clubhouse. Amazon quietly launches a monthly vinyl subscription service. The new service will help fill out your record collection with some of the most iconic albums of the 60s and 70s. The products featured are independently selected by the editorial team. Okay, so you can see what's on there. And it starts off, vinyl is more popular than it has been since the mid-1980s. And if you've just gotten your first turntable, it's time to start building up your record collection. Fortunately, finding copies of classic albums has gotten really tough, which is why Amazon has launched a new Vinyl of the Month Club. The subscription makes it easy to get your hands on some choice albums without having to track them down. This new program joins Amazon Music Unlimited, Kindle Unlimited, and Audible Plus, Amazon's other media-related subscription services. So the Vinyl of the Month Club is fairly new, and the company hasn't promoted it very much. So Rolling Stone has done the favor of collecting everything you need to know about it. Do you have to pay for shipping? Nope. How much does it cost? $24.99 a month. Do you need Amazon Prime? Nope. Do you get to pick the album of the month? No. Each album is picked out by a member of Amazon's music team. Interesting. What albums do you get? It says you'll get albums from the golden era of vinyl, which it defines the 60s and 70s. It singled out Pink Floyd, Aretha Franklin, Led Zeppelin, Fleetwood Mac, Miles Davis, and ABBA as examples. And other Amazon user noticed that the first two albums they released to subscribers were Pink Floyd's The Wall and London Calling by The Clash. Can you return an album if you don't like it? Yes. Is it a good deal? Well, that's up to you. And the bottom line, if you like classic rock and everything, that style, at least, it's some fun. So you can sign up if you're a vinyl collector, vinyl junkie. Instagram. Who uses Instagram and really wishes you could post from the desktop? This one's going to make your day. Eli, you're raising your hand there?
Absolutely. I wish I could work from my desktop. Sometimes the content that I would love to post on Instagram is not on my phone.
Yeah, it's easier to type and it's easier to copy and paste and everything. So, this has been a major missing feature. But what they're doing is Instagram is testing the ability to create posts under the web browser on a desktop computer. The feature was spotted by social media consultant Matt Navarro, who captured some screenshots demonstrating the functionality. Facebook confirmed the test in a statement to Bloomberg saying, quote, "We know that many people access Instagram from their computer. To improve that experience, we're now testing the ability to create a feed post on Instagram with their desktop browser." Navarro screenshots show that you're able to select aspect ratios, apply built-in filters, and use basic editing parameters within the browser. The feature isn't appearing for everyone yet, but it's highlighted in the top right of the screen with the message saying, quote, "Now you can create and share posts directly from your computer," suggesting that Instagram is serious about a broader rollout. If I could do more from Instagram from my computer, that would make my day. I do use Buffer, but so Buffer you can't upload all the different types of content, IGTVs, things like that. And years ago, somebody created a hack of that there was a way to hack a code on the Instagram site, and then you could force it to do an upload, and Instagram got wind of that and shut that down really quickly. All right, we're going to move on to...
I will say on that note, I do use some Chrome extensions from time to time that let you do that, so you might want to poke around if that feature is not available to you yet. I'm not in front of my computer, so I don't know the name of them, but they're out there.
Yeah, they're definitely out there. I do just want to add, be very careful about adding Chrome extensions, even if they make it into the Chrome store. Some of them are security issues, some security flaws. So make sure it's more from a respected programmer as opposed to just somebody that's like, oh, this is what we came up with. So security is a big concern just with any of those.
You know what I wish that I could use also on my computer in addition to Instagram? I really do wish that I could use Clubhouse on my desktop with more ease than I can. That's another app that I just really wish would be a little more desktop friendly.
Club Deck.
I've had some issues with Club Deck. Mine glitches out on me sometimes. I don't know if anyone has any similar experiences with Club Deck, but if you use Club Deck, perhaps you can give me some advice in the chat or by raising your hand. When I'm using Club Deck, sometimes it glitches and I cannot unmute my mic, which is very frustrating, obviously.
Yep, that happens to me all the time, Eli. I'm right with you. I think they just may need to make some improvements, but I think they're about 2 steps behind Clubhouse. So as improvements get made on the actual mobile app, we'll hopefully see them on Club Deck as well.
Right on.
This is Colleen, and I'm a Club Deck user. I depend on Club Deck to share music and that sort of thing from my desktop. And yesterday, I couldn't even get logged in on Club Deck. It seemed like it was broken. And I heard someone else this morning say that. I'm just wondering if anyone else has the same experience with Club Deck, and if anybody knows when it will be fixed.
I don't know if there's any timeline, but Club Deck, these all the DirectCon and all these other extensions and apps that are building off APIs or calls. I mean, these are created by smart people that are great programmers, but remember, it's just could be one person or 1 or 2 people that are creating this, and if Clubhouse changes something, done. Same as Facebook. Facebook changes something in their API. All those applications that are attached to Facebook's API have to go in and reprogram. They have to learn what the change is. Then they have to, or Facebook might be shutting down some of the areas that the data that they can access. So it's really complex, and these are freeware. It's or you can get a premium, to support, or buy them a cup of coffee. But remember, these are just regular people that are doing some great work, but it is just 1 or 2 people. So speaking of Clubhouse, I do want to move on over to, and this is from Digital Music News, and the question, the article starts off with a question that says, "Is Clubhouse already over?" Now, I'm not going to get really into this because it's talking about the spike from a few months ago. And they say, is the whole Clubhouse thing already over? The app installs plunge and interest wanes, and this might have been a $4 billion fad. That's what the article says. So, they're saying, it talks about, remember when Clubhouse was about to conquer Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, Zoom, and podcasting in one fell swoop? It's not hard to remember the days when Clubhouse was anybody was talking about, because that was just a few months ago. These days, as in 60 to 90 days later, it seems nobody is talking about Clubhouse. Instead, we're mainly covering the news of Clubhouse clones launched by Facebook, Spotify, and Twitter, instead of covering Clubhouse itself. Back when Clubhouse was dominating discussions, headlines, and podcast conversations, platforms like Facebook were spending millions and devoting months of development time to create their audio-only copycats and not get left behind. But what happened to the company they were chasing? Well, Clubhouse is still there. It's here. How you doing, everybody on Clubhouse? What's the good word? All right, so searches, but the air was quick. They say the air is quickly leaking out of the balloon. Searches for Clubhouse app have already flatlined in Google, and more importantly, Clubhouse has experienced dramatic slowdown in app installs. So these are going back to some statistics. So I don't want to get buried into the statistics, because this is a life cycle. This is when they had iOS, we had a perfect storm of the fact that people were still locked inside. This was a perfect opportunity for people to speak with each other. They were sharing. It got out there. And of course, it ramps up, and it was a hockey stick curve. And at some point, it's going to plateau. And at some point, it's going to go down. People start going back to work. The initial buzz wears off. People are tired of some of the rooms. People are looking for something else. Right now, we're going through looking at, the other apps that are rolling out. And there's 36 apps live right now that are focused on audio. There are 100 more in the pipeline. It's looking at longevity, and it's, what is the platform you're going to be on? So while you're going to see ebb and flow. But here's the thing what they talk about is, is the Clubhouse hype over? And there's a quote saying, I see rooms with fewer members and not many rooms anymore. Also, people have run out of topics to discuss. Shorter duration rooms. People are tired of repetitive topics or the same old topic-related rooms, mostly religion, politics, race, or some controversial debates. People are blocking each other, not letting people join each other's rooms. People are unethically bullying others and calling others names. There is huge Clubhouse fatigue. Well, yeah, there is a little Clubhouse fatigue. When you go into anything and you start doing it 24 hours a day, you're going to get a little burnt out. But they talk about, meanwhile, Clubhouse has been working on to try to keep the energy going, most recently by launching a private DM feature. They have not launched a private DM feature, so I want to correct this article. They talked about it. Then somebody saw a leak of something that looked like a private DM feature. But the thing is that, most importantly, Clubhouse has finally launched on Android, which could potentially cause a bounce. And it did cause a bounce. I mean, this is a recent article, but they're not capturing all that. So that's why I'm kind of disseminating this article a little bit. And the entire world has drastically changed, and they're saying people are vaccinated, restaurants are open, masks are gone, and normal life is resuming. In fact, the upward trend of people going outside seems to be the direct inverse of Clubhouse's downward trend of app downloads, and that could be the end of this story. And that's pretty much, that last paragraph there is actually what is going on. There's two things. People are trying out different platforms. Hey, Green Room, what's going on? How you doing? Good to see you. And, but people are getting back to work. So creators continue doing it. We're going to continue doing the Music News Power Hour here. And we thank you all that have joined us, that have come here every day or tune in. We appreciate you. This is your time, and we appreciate the fact that you come and hang out with us. And to the contributors and the commenters on everything that join in this conversation, and Eli and Angela for being here and doing such a great job. So I thank all of you for being part of this, what we're doing, and we're going to continue doing this. We're going to keep trying out different platforms, but we're at Clubhouse. We're here.
And we want to remind you also that we are here for you in terms of the headlines that we cover. And so if there are headlines that we cover that you'd like to find out more about, you can visit our website. But also if there are headlines that we have missed that you would like to have covered, breaking news in the music industry, make sure that you let us know. You can chime in the chat. You can raise your hand to join the discussion, especially as we contribute to our Week in Review discussion today on Friday. But we want to make sure that we're covering the music news that you care to listen to and discuss. This is your news show. And thank you so much for being part of our broadcast, all of you. It's great to see you in our rooms, and it's great to see you in the chat and on stream too.
Yeah, and also one thing we have also started this past week is the Morning Daily Brief, which is a 2 to 4 minute piece where it's on our podcast. So it's about 2 to 4 minutes we focus a little bit more on new releases, tour updates, musical chairs, so stuff we might not cover in here. But so you get why is my phone ringing? Sorry about that.
Right.
Yeah, that was. I even have it on Do Not Disturb. Thanks, Apple. So apologies, but yeah, we do the daily brief on the podcast. It's on your preferred podcast player, or you can go to the website and you'll see the daily brief. If you're registered to the website, you'll be at the homepage. You'll see the daily brief, and we post the links to articles. We summarize it. It's a quick hit and run, and we talk about things about we're going to talk about here as well. So, with that being said, thank you, and we're going to go on to here's a couple other audio upstarts that are trying to build a better clubhouse, and this is from Fast Company. And these are inspired by the audio first social network and frustrated by the current state of social media. Entrepreneurs are turning to the human voice to create connection online. So between January and February, Clubhouse went from 2 million downloads to 10 million. We all know this. Great. Let's skip ahead. Clubhouse has been criticized. So let's skip ahead. There's no stage on Peanut. What? What is Peanut? Well, Peanut is another app. So, the Peanut is connects mothers and mothers-to-be in another app. So Peanut originated as sort of a Tinder for moms. You swipe right on a mom you'd like to meet. The company has shifted its initial launch in 2017. Now the app has much more about stoking conversations among everyone on the platform. In May, Peanut launched Pods, where women can meet or discuss or ask advice on certain topics, like how to navigate starting a family as a queer person, or what it's like to be on an antidepressant while also being pregnant. Everyone can participate in the conversation, though you have to request to speak so that people don't talk over one another. Okay, so Peanut's doing something. Well, there's another app, Quilt, and Yoni Circle. And those apps are thinking similarly about using audio to foster community. Both are designed to give women more room to share stories in a safe space. At Yoni Circle, women can join hour-long circles, small groups of 5 or 6 throughout the day to verbally share what's on their mind and tell related stories about themselves. There's also Yoni Radio, a 30-minute program featuring stories on a given topic like patience that allows women to listen and reflect without having to actively divulge. So it goes on. I mean, there's another platform called Ethel's Club. There's another one called Somewhere Good. I mean, the list goes on, and you can find this in the article, and this is from Fast Company. And, some of these platforms that they're talking about here aren't like a direct competitor. They're seem to be more niche and, more hyper targeted. So, these, audio, hey, we always know. You never know what's going to happen. I mean, the fact that you can just kind of get on your own party line really quick, it might be something that is better to have a niche kind of discussion. Who knows? But there's a lot coming. And with that,
Big green dot hits the spot.
The big green dot, it does hit the spot. This is today's Spotify update, where we look at streaming technology and today's music headlines. And before we do that, I want to take a look at your weather forecast. Romance is in your weather forecast for many of our listeners and viewers. It is the time of the season for loving. Over to you, Peter, for the Spotify spot.
Right on. Thanks for that, Eli. All right. It's not so Spotify centric, but it's a little Spotify and Apple coming together, and this is fun. We're going to end the week with a nice, fun piece of technology you can play with, and this is from TheVerge.com. The title of it is Listen to Spotify on this nostalgic iPod-style web music player. Yes, you can go to a web player, dial it up. You have the old iPod, and you can link your Spotify account to it. So I'll finish by reading up this article. In an era before multi-touch displays, the iPod click wheel was the king of music playback control. Now, a new project from front-end software developer Tanner Villarete has attempted to emulate its classic controls as a web app, complete with support for your Spotify and Apple Music libraries. It's fantastically simple, using your mouse or finger on a touch screen to emulate the classic controls. You'll need to sign in either using the Apple Music or Spotify accounts, and then it's a simple case of using the virtual click wheel to select and listen to a selection of your most listened to artists. It even supports the iPod Classic's cover flow interface, letting you flip through album covers like a jukebox. Now, obviously, there's a reason why modern apps don't use click wheel interfaces. Using the touch-sensitive wheel via a phone's web browser feels okay, but on desktop, having to drag a mouse around a virtual circle feels inefficient at best. It's It's at its worst when loading up the virtual iPod's built-in Brick Breaker game clone, which, side note, also rips, but as a nostalgic trip down memory lane, perfection. The project is also on GitHub, and if you want to have a poke around. So a little history is the Apple killed off the classic iPod design in 2014. It now sells just one iPod branded device, the iPod Touch, which in terms of hardware is effectively a dated iPhone with no cellular connectivity, biometric authentication, or modern features. And according to the article here, they say, we'd love to see the classic design return, but according to Apple CEO Tim Cook, the company simply couldn't get the parts anymore. And they end with, let's just hope Apple doesn't kill the project like it did with Rewound, a music player app that also attempted to bring back the iPod's classic control screen. So you can go check it out. It's, it's fun. And that's how we're going to end this reads. If anybody would like to join us up on stage for any final comments during the roundtable, please raise your hand. And anybody, let's see what's going over on. Hey, Angela, is anything going over on Green Room?
Well, I love to start a little chat, and I love the gifts feature as well because I get to be cheeky in there. But yeah, Aaron was commenting earlier about about Clubhouse, saying that notifications are the biggest pain, and it's pretty nonstop. He has to keep pausing it, and I fully agree there. And he said while live audio is a brilliant
Oh,
solution to a lack of social contact, we now have to change to retain. Did I cut out there at all? Sorry about that.
you're back from the Matrix.
Yeah, I just went back on my Wi-Fi, so hopefully you can hear me. Yeah, he was just saying that live audio was a brilliant solution to lack of social contact during the pandemic, obviously, but we'll just have to change to retain interest. Surely that's going to come back up in the post-show conversation. And I commented that I so miss the iPod click wheel because, they were the good old days. Does anybody else have several old iPods or just me?
I definitely have several old iPods, and I think that Peter and I weren't we just laughing about the Onion video recently where they had a spoof product called the Mac Wheel,
Oh
and that
yeah.
kind of cracked yeah, that cracked me up. It's basically a spoof laptop that has no keyboard and only a click wheel, like a classic iPod would have a giant click wheel on your laptop. And I was laughing with Peter. I said, I'm such an Apple fanatic. I still have all my old click wheel iPods. But to be fair, each one of those iPods kind of feels like a walk down memory lane, almost like it used to feel when I would open up a specific wallet of album CDs, and it would be like a walk down memory lane, a snapshot in time, and I would laugh and look at what I had been listening to the last time I opened that CD case. And so that's kind of how I feel about my old clickwheel iPods as well. It's
It,
a
it's
yearbook.
it's like a time capsule because I think I have three iPods. And so it's like what years? It's like, you always have some of your regular music, but then all the music you're buying for those 3 years of that generation of iPods. So it's kind of a time capsule of what you were listening to in that period.
I feel like it's a bit of a time capsule for what Apple software was working with at the time as well, because I have one iPod that is filled with almost everything that was on my computer hard drive at the time, because Apple had just made a change to auto sync all tracks to your iPod when you plugged your iPod in. And that was the first iPod that had synced all of my hard drive music onto the iPod itself. So some of the tracks on that iPod are a little funny, a little excessive.
Or if you were like me that had multiple computers, it was like, oh, I got to deactivate one of my five activations so I could play it over on this computer. Yeah. Trip down memory lane on the iPad. This is the iPod. This is fantastic. We're going to wrap up a little early here because we're going to go over to the room that is painted green for the after show conversation. And we're going to be over there in just a moment. But final thoughts, Eli? Some good stuff this week?
Definitely. I don't know about anybody else, but it feels like just a week where everything has been popping off, weather-wise, personally, professionally, and I hope that great things are happening for you as well. And I want to remind you that you can join us here weekdays, Monday through Friday at 12 noon Eastern. We are here with the music news, all the news that you actually care to hear about and discuss. You can visit our website where you can watch on the video stream as we are live on a video stream, even as you listen to us here. Or you can also register for free on our website where you can get lots of updates. That is musicindustrycity.com. Also, make sure that you tap the greenhouse icon at the top of the room to join the club here on Clubhouse. Follow your moderators, the speakers with the green moderator icon, and make sure that you join us again on Monday at 12 noon Eastern for more music news from Music Industry City Broadcast Network. On behalf of my co-host Peter Schwing and also our UK correspondent Angela Randall, my name is Eli Window, and I thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you're having a wonderful week and that you have a great weekend.
Have a great weekend. Thank you, Eli. Thank you, Angela. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us. It's been a great week. Busy week. We had the most articles this week. We covered 73 articles this week. That's a new record for us. My throat's a
Yeah,
little
and I
sore.
really also want to thank you, Peter, because earlier when you were thanking everyone, without you producing the show, we wouldn't have this news available to us every day and keeping us abreast of what's going on in our industry. So, from all of us, thanks so much to you as well.
Oh, thank you, and I appreciate that. Yeah, it's I enjoy doing this public service. I guess I don't know, and but I also thank everybody else that really makes this happen. And that's going to be it for today. And also check out the Music Industry City podcast. If you can find it on your podcast player, hit that subscribe button. It's always we appreciate that. It always makes makes us feel good. And with that being said, have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you Friday. And also, let's head over to that room that's painted green for the after party. See you, everybody.
Cheerio.
Cheerio. It's great to see you all. I hope you have a beautiful weekend if I don't see you before Monday.
Hey, green. Hey, green room. Oh, I don't know if I can hear. Oh, wait, I got to switch over my. I'm just going to invite people on up here. All right. Hold on 1 second. All right, green room. Can you hear me?